Hey guys, in this tutorial I will introduce you about class and object in Python. First we need to define class and initialization on object depending on the class. And the second is we need to define the variable of public, private and static. Now we create a new Python file here and we rename it as a rectangle. In this rectangle.py I define a class by typing class class rectangle class rectangle. uh, this class has some methods and property. In this tutorial you can call it property or variable. It defines the init function. The init function is a function that calls when the object is created. First, the object is when the object is created, it will call the init, the function init. Firstly, this function init will initialize on the variable in the class. So now we define it with the input parameter as x, y, width, height. We input the parameter and then all the variable in the class will assign to it. For example, self.x is here and self.x is a property or variable of the class. The variable of the class will depending by the self. The self means this class and this object. And similarly for y, I assign the property of the object to the input parameter. Third, you assign the width. Width is the width property of the object, and self.width is equal to input width, and self.height is equal to input height. The self is input height, self.height is equal to height. And we create a new file. It is a main file. From the main file I can call to the rectangle.py, or I import the class here by using from rectangle import rectangle. It means from this file I import the class. So this is a command. It means from this file I import the class rectangle. From the file rectangle I import the class rectangle. So after import the class, you can use it to define an object rect1. Rect1 is a rectangle. We define it with the init function. So this is an init function. So x, y is 0, 0 and width height is 100, 200. And now the rectangle 2 has value as follow. And similarly we have rectangle 3 and rectangle 4, etc. We call the initialize with the input value as 600 and 400. For example, this object will have a location on the memory. We can print out the data for easier to understand by using the p print. I call the preprint now. So I print the rectangle 1, rectangle 2 and rectangle 3 here. This is the input parameter for init function. The input parameter for init function, and xy width height. And we run this, and you see that the pprint now is not a function, so we must import it. We must call it from the module pprint. So I pprint here. So I run this. Okay, now it's so that's 3 rectangle object will have 3 location. This location is a memory. The location is a memory is differently between rack 1, rack 2 and rack 3. It has a different location is a memory, and we can show detail about this by here the width of rectangle 1. So the height of rectangle 1 is 200. Very easy to show the data here by using the object dot property. Now we define a class property. Basic ratio is a class property, so I define it outside the init function, and we do not use the self. We do not use the self dot. So here I can show the static property is here, and the static property will be changed by depending on the object or depending on the class. So I comment it here. Ratio per basic ratio is a class variable or a class property. If I run this, and you can see there's a property here, the class property here. So if I change 1 by I calling ratio is 1.6, and only rectangle 1 change, only rect 1 change. So I see, yes, I can see that only rect 1 change to 0.6, only rect 1 change to 0.6, and now it changed by class by using class name dot basic ratio. Then it will change every object because it is the class variable. If you change the class variable by calling the class name dot static variable, it will change every property of all object predefined. And I'm going to create a new file, Python file. The Python file is customer. So the class, we define a class customer, or file class customer. So identify it here. So they define the init function. The init function is here. So I define it. Define. So this class has some property, some attribute as name of customer name, and second property or second variable is address of the customer. I can initialize with a blank string, and another property is age, but in this example I need the age to be private. I can use the underscore before property, and it will become private. So let's try again. Let's try now. We initialize a new object customer. We must import it from customer. We import the class customer. From customer file we import the customer class. So the customer class, I initialize the object, and I print I also print out customer dot name Then the customer we assign the name as our name, for example Alex, and I run this. Okay, so I can see the customer name will change because it is public, so it can be changed. But the age is a private, it is a private variable, or it is a private property, so it cannot be changed. So I open main, press enter now, and print the age. So after printing age, I run this, and you got no attribute, so we cannot change the private property of a class. But if we need to display the we define get age, property, and we return is minus underscore age. It returns this, and now we can call the function. So here you can show it through a public